It's time for Frenchie's Forum, where the floor is always open for discussion. No topic is taboo. Come on in and join me for this week's episode.
Hi, and welcome. Today is September 11th, 2020, and the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on this country. I went to bed somber last night, and I woke up somber this morning. I went outside to let the dogs out and was surprised of all the smoke in the air from the California fires, Oregon fires, all the fires from the West Coast. And it was an eerie scene. The sun was just so orange and red, this orange reddish orb in the sky. Mother Nature amazes me. But on to 9/11. Most people remember where they were that day. I don't know how anybody could ever forget where they were that day. I was at home in bed. I was living in Alaska, so there was a 4-hour time difference. My husband had gotten up early and gone into work. I was asleep, still in bed. I did not want to get up early. And then at some time he called me and I picked up the phone, still, groggy from sleep. And he was telling me that I needed to get up and turn the TV on because our country was under attack. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, this man is insane. Who would be stupid enough to attack the United States of America? I mean, we are the United States of America, a blessed land above all other lands. And I'm just thinking, no, he's got to be wrong. So I begrudgingly got out of the bed thinking, I'm going to turn the TV on. The man doesn't know what he's talking about. So I turned the TV on and turned it on to one of the news channels, and I am seeing the first tower that got hit and all of the smoke, the black smoke that was just billowing out of this building. And then a few minutes later, the second plane hit the South Tower. And then, I mean, it was just insane. I was flabbergasted. I was crying. I was heartbroken. I was sad. So sad. And then after the second plane hit, then we had the plane hit the Pentagon. And then, of course, Flight 93 that tried to take back the plane. And, they believe it was headed for D.C. But I just couldn't believe. I mean, when you get down to it and you get to 2, 3, 4 planes, something is going on. I mean, air traffic came to a standstill. Not a plane in the sky. And it's crazy because it was oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful day for such a horrible thing to happen. I'm sitting there and my heart was just going out to those people stuck up in those buildings, for the ones who obviously died from the impact of the airplane hitting the trade centers. And then they start doing the shots of, zooming in on people hanging out of windows, for, holding on for dear life for fresh air with black smoke coming out behind them. People waiting for help that was never going to make it. Because as the people were leaving the towers, the one good thing was that it was early in the morning and not everybody was in their offices yet. There were a lot of people who did get out below the impact areas, which I can only imagine they have survivor's guilt. Why was I saved? And then I'm watching bodies jumping out of windows. And I thought to myself, if I was in the same position, what would I do? What would I do? I'm not the type of person who would sit around and wait for help. I would be wanting to help myself and others around me to find a way out of that building. And I can't imagine the moment when they realize there is no getting out. And there's no way anybody's going to get into them because of the damage. I feel for those people who jump, but I understand why they jumped. Because that's one of my greatest fears, is to be burned alive. I can't imagine. I don't know. See, to me, I don't know. Would I have the strength to jump out that window? Or would I just want to breathe the smoke in and hope I die before the flames get me? But as people were coming out, of course, you've got firemen and police officers who are running in there to save people's lives. No questions asked. It's what they do. It is their job. Many of them lost their lives that day trying to help other people. And that's what police do in this country. They not only uphold the law, but they are there to protect you in a time of need. That's why we call the police. And yet here we have governments and our own United States government, this country's governing body. There are people in the White House who want to defund police. I've never heard a crazier, more stupid idea to defund the police. Defund the police. So we're just going to have lawlessness all over the country. Here we are here. It's September 11th. A moment when our country came together unlike anything I had ever seen in my life. And I was 34 when that happened. You know, I got out of the military right before Desert Storm first started. When the Iraqis invaded Kuwait. I had got out just before then. And because of my MOS, I was a 91Q pharmacy technician. So, you know, you're not going to really call a pharmacy technician back to active duty. But I tell you, all they had to do was call me. And I gladly would have taken up arms to defend our country. And to let those people know, you don't come into our country and do that. That's not what this country is about. We want to keep that out. Want to keep it out. And yet here we go again. We've got a president who wants to control the borders. And then you got the people on the left who want to have open borders. So those kind of people can just come in and live in our country and one day turn on the very people who let them come in. Our country today is very divided. It's very, very divided. When people don't agree, it's fight, demand, throw fits, extort. The hate is growing. The hate in this country is growing. The evil. But we're very divided right now. Amidst a pandemic, amidst closing down of places, pretty much shutting things down, entire cities, towns, states. People are it's time to take the masks off, America. It's time. It's time to take the masks off. I'm sorry that some of you don't understand, that you want to believe everything these people are telling you instead of doing your own research and not believing what is going on. And I'm hoping through people like myself and others that I have seen on Facebook, YouTube, television, about Americans needing to come together. We cannot just sit on our duffs while it's falling apart around us and not do anything about it. Why has our government not stepped in and taken care of the situations that the governors and the mayors cannot control? These rioters, they're not protesters, they're rioters. And everybody else would have been arrested already for attempted murder, theft, arson, assaults. But no, they're just allowed to do whatever they want to do in the mayhem, burn buildings down, destroy lives, destroys people's businesses. Some will never come back. Some businesses are going to come back now because of the pandemic, on top of all the violence. Now you got arsonists in Oregon burning down forests and doesn't care what happens to the people and the homes and the wildlife or anything that happens. I don't understand. This is why I say today is a good day to talk about uniting, Americans uniting for a common goal and a common purpose. And if you work together as a team can accomplish anything. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to compromise, be willing to make changes. Even if you don't really agree with the changes, do the changes. If this means the better for more people, then we need to attempt it. But we've got our House and Senate butting heads all the time, let alone doing any work. I don't even want to get on that subject. But they definitely don't earn the amount of taxpayer dollars that pay them. And they sure as hell aren't getting paid to do their job, the job they're doing. And I think it's about time that we say enough is enough. And we come together as a country and we unite. And if that means, in so many words, overthrowing our government, and if that's what needs to be done, then we need to do it. I'm willing to hear all sides. I'm willing to make my own decision, but I know that I love this country. There is no other country I want to live in because I would never have the freedom and the liberties that I have here. And that was something my father always reminded us of when he would come home from TDY overseas. Sometimes he went to third world countries, sometimes he didn't. But he would always remind his children how good we really had it here. And would tell us the things that he saw or learned about that culture. This is a country of diversity. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, Latino, Iranian, Iraqi, I don't care. People come to America for a fresh start. My ancestors did it. And I come from English, French, and German heritage. So I just don't understand. I don't get why people can't get along. You're not going to be able to please everybody. And there are going to be times you don't agree, and you're just going to have to agree to disagree. My husband and I do that all the time. We get into conversations, and we have some heated debates in here. I mean, you would think if people were listening to us, oh my God, we were fighting. But no, we just get into heated debates. And there are times when his opinion differs from mine and mine differ from him. And I just have to throw in the towel and say, look, I'm done talking about this. We just need to agree to disagree and find some common ground that we can agree on. We don't have to agree on everything, but a common ground. And I believe that's what they need to be doing in government. They need to grow up and be mature and quit being freaking thieves. They take our tax money. They waste our tax money, not to mention the pockets that are being lined by all the lobbyists. And there are people at the very top that are directing everything that goes on. Our government has become nothing but a play on stage. Some of them are very good at their acting. There's a lot of fake people in the world. I've met a few. Don't feel ill. I have no ill will towards them. It's just people I don't want to be around. Now, if we come together, we need help, all of us show up to build a house for Habitat for Humanity, then by all means, I respect you and I have no ill will. We all have paths to walk in this life. None of the paths that we are on are the same. Our end goal, we're all headed for the same place, but we're all taking different routes because we all have lessons to learn. And my lessons are different than so-and-so's lessons and so-and-so's lessons. I have my own lessons to learn in life. I learn something new every day about myself, about the world, about people, about life. I find life to be quite comical. But on a somber day today of 9/11, which I've been watching some tributes on TV this morning, quite sad. I makes me even cry still to this day. I never thought I would be familiar with someone who lost their life that day. But a family that I grew up with, it's probably their youngest daughter. She was a few years behind me, but she was an employee for one of the big financial companies there, and she was in, I'm not sure which tower she was in, but she got trapped and perished from either fire or the collapse of the buildings. I remember watching the collapse of the buildings that day, and my heart dropped to my feet. This is all I could think about were the souls that were left in that building that didn't make it. And all the firefighters and the police who willingly and voluntarily went into those buildings, not knowing that it was going to be their last day. Fortunately, there were some people who did get to call loved ones before their life was taken. And I can't even imagine the emotions. I can't imagine. What do you say? I love you, I'm sorry. What, you pour your heart out. Which is something people should do every day, not just on catastrophic events like 9/11. Why does it take a catastrophe for people to come together? Why can't we come together? Where I live up here, in Arizona, if you're not familiar with Arizona, it's the first time I've ever lived anywhere where they have these little communities with HOAs, and you got your little parks in there, and everything's right there. I felt like I was in jail living there. Because when I first moved here, we moved in with my husband's daughter for 3 months until we found this house. And I felt like I was in jail every day. I mean, you're blocked in backyards that are no bigger than probably a freaking yard that inmates are allowed to go out and to get fresh air. But up here, it's not like that. But they're down below us. There are some of these communities down there, and they have HOAs. And I'm a member of their Facebook community pages. And it's funny what people find time to talk about. I griping about the most pettiest of things. The most pettiest of things. And that's almost the way we are now. I mean, it's like you don't get what you want, so you'll throw a freaking temper tantrum till they give you what you want, just to stop you from whatever you're doing, whatever kind of behavior. You know, that's one thing. Now, even with dogs, you're taught not to reward bad behavior. Yet that's all we've seemed to have done in the last, 2 decades is raise, thank God, not me, but raise such unaccountable, selfish, temper tantrum throwing little kids. They may be in their 20s, but inside and up here, oh, no. There's no way. There's no way they're in their 20s. No. It was amazing that day, though. The way the community came together. All the American flags everywhere. I have never seen so many flags. There was a shortage of flags. Like we're having a shortage of PPE right now because of the pandemic. There was a shortage of American flags. And I'm going to take a moment to talk about that American flag. My father was a military man most of my growing up years. And that was one of the many things my father taught me was to respect the flag, what it stood for. What it represents. To guard it, protect it. You never let it touch the ground. If it touches the ground, then it needs to be burned. When flown at night, must be lit, must be under light of some sort. If you can't, then you need to take it down every day before dark. And I remember being on base. And at 5:30 every day, no matter where I was, especially if you were on base, you were to stop, get out of your car, turn to face the flag, and salute it for the bringing in of the flag. And today, people abuse it in a lot of ways. And I have to say, I blame our education system. I blame their parents. Blame their family members. Well, that's one thing I do. Is I continue to teach and try to raise like my nieces and nephews. They used to come over to my house when they were in diapers and spend weekends. And they spent a lot of weekends at my house. And I'm hoping that crazy Aunt Missy here, which I know I go by the show Frenchie. And that's because my husband's nickname is Dutch, because he's of Dutch, German descent. I have German in me as well, but I have French, so I thought Dutch and Frenchie. It's a pretty cool combination. But my nieces and nephews always referred to me as Crazy Aunt Missy because I would do anything. I'll try anything once. But I always continued to educate them and teach those things that my father taught me. And I blame a lot of that. Somewhere along the way, from 9/11 to today, we have lost. There's a lot of we've just become lost. I'm not lost. I am, I think, deeper than most people. And most people don't understand my conversation sometimes because I'm on a different level than they are. But I like talking to people, learning their experiences, talk about problems. That's why kind of doing this podcast now it's just important to me because as from where I was at here and my work, it was an hour round trip. So sometimes two. If I came home during rush hour, sometimes it would take me 3 hours round trip. So by the time I do all that and traveling, I just didn't have a lot of social time. I mean, I know quite a few people, and I don't get out as much as I'd like to. But last year I collapsed and almost died, and my whole lifestyle changed after that. That's another story in itself. But back to unity and team. People don't know how to be on a team. People don't know how to work together. To come together as a country in a time of need and a time of crisis. I mean, we do an okay job. I'm not saying we don't, that there aren't people out there who don't do anything, but this life that we live on this earth is so short. And September 11th should be an example of that we don't know when. Everyone went to work that day thinking it was just another day. Just another normal day. And then within a couple of hours of being at work, they were gone. So we're never guaranteed a tomorrow. Never guaranteed a tomorrow. And I've known that most of my life. But I still will never forget the way this country came together and united. It was, you could feel it in every state, in every corner, everywhere you went. People were proud Americans. And I today am wondering how these people in our government don't hold themselves to higher standards and be accountable to themselves, not to anybody else, just to be accountable to themselves. Because I cannot imagine that every single soul in those buildings in Washington, D.C. have no soul. That they don't feel bad about what they're doing. And on September 11th, we were all reminded of that. We were just all reminded of that. Because there was intelligence out there, but it wasn't taken seriously. In actuality, those lives lost probably could have been prevented. But because the United States government, agencies don't talk to each other, which is part of the problem in the law enforcement community today. I mean, they've gotten better at it. Technology has advanced, making it a little easier to communicate to each other. But, we went after those people. Why are we not going after these rioters? Why are we not going after them? Making them be accountable for their behavior and what they've done. Does my son or daughter out there? No. I mean, I believe in standing up for what you believe in and to try to get change in the world. But the way they are doing it is not the right way. It's destructive, it's dangerous, it's evil, and you're putting so many other people's lives at risk. So many lives at risk. And yet we have done nothing about it. Done nothing about it. So that's why I'm saying, America, we need to take the mask off. We need to, because for some reason people can't see and hear what's going on around them with the mask on. I'm one of those people. If I didn't have to eat and go into a grocery store, I just wouldn't even, I just wouldn't even go into these places because you have to wear a mask. I don't believe in masks. I mean, I know that this flu can be deadly, but any flu can be deadly. The numbers, to me, do not suggest that we should have shut our entire lives down, our schools, our jobs. I mean, I am looking at my husband right now who is making like half of what he made before. Half of what he made before. And, we're having a hard time, getting the bills paid. I mean, we're all right, but it's tough. It really is tough, and I feel for the people who've lost their jobs, people who've lost their businesses over this. Most of them, I wouldn't say most of them, but some of them probably lost their business due to the pandemic, and now you got people burning their businesses down in these communities, and we do nothing. So again, September 11th, as horrific a day it was a beautiful day. Americans came together. Americans were proud, strong, resolute in their desire to make these people be held accountable for what they did to our country and to American lives. We lost about, their rough estimate is 3,000. So it was just a sad day that day. At the end, you will see a picture tribute to 9/11. I will never forget 9/11, and no one should forget 9/11. And I think we need to get back to where we were on 9/11, 9/12, and 13, and 14, and on and on. Somehow we have forgotten. So y'all have a great day, and catch me next time on my next episode. I know I have mentioned that I'm working on getting a better camera. I'm looking into that. Just got a new mic, so hopefully the audio is really good on here. But anyway, take the masks off, America. Let's unite. Let's unite as a team and make this country the best it's ever been. Thank you.